You already said you worked at Yahoo, but tell us a little bit more. When did you join Yahoo? How long?
Sure.
And what part did you play there?
Sure. So actually, I would divide my career into two halves, right? Almost equal halves now. The initial part, I would say, from 91 to 2005, it was mostly about high performance computing. Right? After graduating from India, I was fortunate to work on a project that the government of India had launched under Department of Electronics there, to build the first indigenous supercomputer in India.
Oh, wow.
Because the weather department, they could not get, because there were export control on how much US could export in terms of computing hardware.
Interesting.
So the sale of Cray, I believe it was XMP at that time, Cray XMP was blocked by the US government. They could not sell it to India. So Indian government started their own project. They basically said, okay.
The Cray wasn't that. I mean,
Cray
that was the best thing you could buy for money, but it wasn't great if you look back. No,
I mean, if you look at it, right? I mean, yeah, that was one of the first, very innovative supercomputer and things like that. But if you look at the amount of compute power that it had, it probably is, much less than my laptop today.
Yeah,
right?
It's amazing, right?
It's amazing. Right?
Oh.
So I worked for a couple of years on that project. We built our team built a first supercomputer called Param in India. And at that time, after that project finished, I was, okay, where do I go next? So I came to the United States, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign to do my PhD and in parallel computing. And so I spent 8 years there, too long, but to do my PhD. But so 2002, I graduated, and I was getting tired of academics, having to write all these research proposals for, getting NSF grants and all these things. I basically just took a complete U-turn and said, 2002, I'm not going to have anything to do with research. And at that time in the Valley, there was only one company hiring, which was Siebel Systems. So I joined Siebel to do their application server, load balancing in application server. I spent 1.5 years there and joined a startup called Pathscale, and we actually built a message passing system on top of InfiniBand. And so 1.3 microsecond latency, user space to user space.
Nice.
Between
in
two
2000
machines.
and
This was 2003.
Oh.
2003, 2004.
Nice.
As I was winding down that project, an ex-colleague of mine, actually he was a grad student at University of Illinois as well, Samir Paranjpe. He was at Yahoo at that time. And he basically said, hey, we are launching this project with Eric. We are going to revamp the entire search content engine backend.
Yeah,
right?
And it happened to be a few tens of thousand computers. Do you want to be part of that?
At that time, it was around 2,000. Let me remember. I think it was around 1,000 machines running the web map itself.
Yeah.
Then there were some 3,000 machines.
Huge.
Yeah, that was huge.
I'm like, I want to have 10 minutes on those machines. What I could do.
Then there was a Echelon Project doing indexing, and then there was obviously the search engine. All combined, there would be something like 6,000 to 7,000 machines, right, doing that at that time. Basically says, okay, when do I get my hands onto this machine? And basically, I joined Yahoo. So we started working on a project called Juggernaut. Juggernaut was essentially, okay, the Google MapReduce and GFS papers had come out. Why doesn't Yahoo have an infrastructure like that? So
Eric talked about that a little bit.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I was the first one hired from outside of Yahoo into that team. Eric and Samir were sort of managing those teams. Owen was the first one to join. Second one was me.
But Owen was already in Yahoo.
Owen was already working on web
NASA and then Yahoo, right?
Yeah, he was already working on web map at Yahoo at that time. So he was a transfer.
Is rocket science.
It is rocket science, absolutely.
Based on Owen.
So Owen moved from NASA. In Illinois, I used to work in a center called Center for Simulation of Advanced Rockets.
Oh.
So the first two hires into the systems were actually had a rocket science background.
Right.
I mean, I did not understand rockets. I basically just, tell me what programs to write, and I'm going to write those in parallel.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That was amazing thing. I mean, first 6 hires into that team, 4 had PhDs. Okay, Konstantin Shosko, Hairong Huang, me, and Owen. Right. So you can basically see it was a very sort of rocket sciencey stuff, that it was an advanced science project that we were running in there.
Yeah.
But it has been an amazing ride. I was there for 5.5 years. I contributed some initial work at in Hadoop. I think my first patch went in 0.1 or 0.1.1 or something like that. And Hadoop Record IO, the whole serialization system, that was, I think, still is used in Yahoo. So that was my doing. And then the one that I'm most proud of, the one that came from a project called JUTE, by the way. So as part of this Juggernaut, we actually started building a Juggernaut map reduce, which was primarily Owen stuff.
Yeah.
JFS was Konstantin Shosko and Hairong, and I was working on a project called JUTE, which was I like to come up with names, so it was Juggernaut Utility Table Environment. Okay, so that's what JUTE actually stood for, and we basically said, okay, let's take this and it was actually the full-fledged project was supposed to do the whole columnar layout in the JFS, Juggernaut file system. So after we adopted Hadoop in December 2005, basically said, okay, let's take the serialization piece of JUTE that we have already built, and let's move that under Hadoop as a Hadoop Record IO. So that was my doing. And the one that I'm most proud of is actually some code that I wrote in order to debug an issue in HDFS, which is the Pi Estimator Program.
Okay.
So the initial version of the Pi Estimator, so you start a Hadoop cluster and basically say, okay, is it up? Let me submit a Pi Estimator example. So that's my doing.